Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Personalan Mondays. My name is Shelly.
Hello,
Good evening,
hello.
partner
And
Zach.
and I am Zach and we will be your host for tonight ngayong Personalan Mondays. Personalan na naman tonight, sis Shelly. Kamusta ka na?
Okay naman ako, brother Zach. Okay na okay. So, and I hope lahat ng
Wow.
viewers natin ay okay din at very healthy. Tonight, we're going to
Agree.
be very personal, talking about COVID-19 here on Personalan Mondays. Diba? Parang March 15, nag-start yung quarantine. Since then, ang dami nang nabago sa mga personal nating buhay. And 7 months
Totoo.
after that, here we are. This pandemic has become very personal to each one of us because if not all, majority sa atin, merong family member, relative, friend, or colleague who got infected with the virus
Yeah.
or battling with COVID-19 as we speak.
Totoo, partner. At kung wala mang naging positive sa kanila, sa family nila, andun pa rin yung fear di ba? For 7 months, we've been quarantined and tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung pandemic. But for tonight, partner, baka nagtataka sila. Usually, we interview our servants, yung mga leaders
Mhm.
natin sa feast. But of course, we also like to serve lahat ng attendees natin, lahat ng nanonood ng feast in their fears dito sa COVID-19. We would like to address them. Kaya naman, nag-imbita tayo ng mga experts pagdating sa field nito. Tama, partner?
Yes, very timely. So dahil nga as we said no earlier na very personal na nga itong nangyayari. So
Mhm.
magiging very personal din yung pag-discuss natin sa topic for tonight. So sa lahat ng mga nanonood sa atin, mga feasters, please invite lahat ng mga kaibigan nyo, co-servants nyo, mga ka-LG nyo or other family members, tag them and invite them to watch this video. And sabay-sabay tayong matuto. This is a very interesting night to learn about COVID. Paano ba natin i-protect yung sarili natin, pamilya natin, mga mahal natin sa buhay. Because as you said, yung fear talaga is real, di ba?
Yeah. And of course, hindi lang naman tayo magtatanong. Pwede rin silang magtanong sa comment section. That's why, if you have friends or kahit yung mga katrabaho nyo na hindi pa alam yung feast, maybe this is our way to connect to them and baka gusto rin nilang matuto more about this pandemic and how we can address it. Diba?
Yes, please feel free to comment down below yung mga questions na parang boggling your mind and mga things you're curious about. Or di ba, syempre ang daming information, di ba? Information overload kung ano yung mga,
Totoo,
ang
totoo.
daming mga advices, ano yung mga dapat gawin pag nangyari to. And at least ngayon tonight, matatanong natin mismo from the experts kung ano ba talaga and nasaan na ba tayo ngayon, ano ba yung mga dapat nating actions moving forward because as we can see now, maraming mga tao yung medyo nagiging lax na rin. Dumadami na. Pag lumabas
Yeah.
ka ngayon, dumarami na yung tao sa mall. Nagbukas na rin ng
Dami
mga
na
mall.
pumapasyal, di ba?
Ang dami na rin bukas na mga establishment. Ang dami ng sasakyan sa kalsada. So, tonight we're going to learn from two doctors kung as we go on dun sa ating mga buhay, of course, life must go on. Ano yung mga pwede nating gawin para we will be protected and
Yeah.
our families as well.
Oo, partner. And of course, if you're watching live right now, can you also comment para malaman namin kung taga saan kayo? Please comment, where are you watching from right now? Ito, partner, si Romnick Makala. Siya ang unang-unang nag-comment. She
Mm-hmm.
is watching, sabi niya, good evening, feasters. Watching from Masbate. Hello,
Ayan,
brother.
good
Kamusta ka na?
evening. Brother Romney, pag may mga questions ka or baka pwede mo ring i-share sa amin yung current situation dun sa lugar ninyo. Yun, pwede nyo ring i-share sa amin kung kamusta ba sa inyo, medyo strict ba yung protocols, nagiging lax na ba, ano ba yung mga common problem, marami ba yung mga cases dyan sa lugar ninyo. Kanina, partner,
Masbate,
nanonood ako
oo.
ng news, parang
Mm-hmm.
almost 360,000 na yung total
Wow.
cases natin from the news. And then, nadagdag today is almost 3,000, 2,600 plus, I think, yung total cases for today, 2,638 to be exact. So, medyo madami yun, no? For
Medyo
parang
madami nga.
a daily count, masyadong madami yung 2,000 plus. Ayan, si Tochi Esu Binyan, Laguna. Good evening po.
Wow.
Ayan,
Hello,
kapag may mga
Tochi.
questions po kayo.
Mukhang frontliner itong si Tochi dahil
Ay,
nakikita natin
oo
sa
nga.
picture niya na
Marami pong salamat. Saludo po kami
full,
sa
ano
inyong
siya,
mga
full
frontliner.
body protection. Thank you so
Oo,
much sa inyong
naka-PPE.
protection sa service ninyo. Ayan, si Eriza SC. Good afternoon. Watching from Bahrain. Hello, hello, Eriza. Umuulan ba dyan sa Bahrain?
Ayan, si Sis Ivy Rivera from Riyadh.
Wow,
Diba? Talagang
international na tayo,
malalayo.
partner. Mukhang
Yes, at
malayo ang nararating natin.
correct. At ito pa ang local pero malayo, si Brother Ralph Bayubay watching from Tugigaraw City. Ayan, can you share with us po, kamusta po dyan? Kamusta yung sitwasyon? Siyempre yung COVID, worldwide siya eh. Parang 'di ba
Yes.
tumigil ang mundo. Sino mag-aakala na pwede palang tumigil ang mundo? At lahat tayo apektado, lahat tayo may pare-pareho ng pinagdadaanan.
Totoo, partner. And kung hindi nyo man alam or kabisado kung ano ang sitwasyon sa lugar nyo, tanungin na lang namin kayo, kamusta ka ngayong pandemic
Mm.
na ito? Ikaw
At
ba'y
habang
natatakot? Are you fearful? Are you hopeful? Or baka medyo hindi ka na masyadong natatakot? Relax ka na. So anything that
mm,
you want to share in the comment section, that's why we are one community. Please do share sa comments para mabasa din namin.
At habang hinihintay natin yung mga comment ng mga ating mga feasters, no, at yung mga viewers natin for tonight, pwede bang bigyan nyo kami ng like button, paulalan na natin ng like button if you are feeling okay ngayon, if you are safe from COVID, wala kayong nararamdaman na any symptoms at you feel very healthy, pwede bang mag-comment, press the like button yan para malaman namin
Yan.
na okay kayo. Yan, si Father Bob nakikinig sa atin, nanonood sa atin
Hi,
tonight.
Father Bob. So, partner, we need to talk straight English, I think, for tonight because Father Bob is watching.
Mauna na pala ako. May lakad pala
Father
ako
Bob
ngayong
will
gabi.
do our
Lalabas.
best to communicate clearly everything.
Yeah, so we'll
But
try to
thank you
do
for
our very,
joining us.
very best for tonight. Ayan, sabi din ni Brother William Ranjo, good evening, Brother Zach and si Shelly, excited for tonight's discussion and learnings. Ako din. For sure,
Yes.
marami tayong matututunan. So, please, huwag kayong mahiya na itanong yung mga gusto nyong itanong sa ating two doctors for tonight. Kasi I'm sure hindi lang kayo mabe-bless. I'm sure marami rin na kami mismo ni Zach at yung mga nanonood sa atin ay mabe-bless dun sa mga sagot sa mga tanong ninyo. Kasi baka hindi rin namin naiisip yung mga questions running in
Oh,
your mind.
yeah. And feel free to ask again. We are encouraging you guys. If meron kayong tanong na nahihiya kayong itanong sa doktor, ngayon ang pagkakataon natin. This is your chance to ask directly our experts. And if meron kayong mga nararamdaman or kung ano man na gusto nyong i-share, please do share it sa comment section natin and we'd be glad to read it for you.
Yes. Hello,
Yeah.
Father Bob. Good evening. Yeah, we'll
And
try
Father
our
Bob
best
has
to
been,
speak in English.
partner, alam mo, si Father Bob has been one of our
Regular
ano ba,
viewers.
regular viewers and he's also been
Mhm.
giving us hope every week during the Biblia Kuniyat. And that's why we are very thankful for our priest frontliners then, di ba? So si Father
Mm-hmm.
Bob indirectly is also a frontliner giving us hope every week, every
Yes, and
single
I'm
time.
always so blessed with Father Bob's wisdom talaga every Thursday sa Biblia ko niya. So thank you,
Agreed.
Father Bob, for doing that every week, and of course to Father Michael Laguardia as well.
Yes. Si Sis Rowie Ann Cruz, sabi niya, still strict protocols here in Parañaque City. Oh,
Mm.
medyo
Pero good
strict
to
pa pala
hear
sa
that, diba?
Parañaque.
I know that some of us are having a hard time with all the protocols and all. Masyadong mainit, we're wearing face mask, face shield, pag nag-grocery tayo. But I think it's really good na a lot of LGUs right now are practicing yung mga protocols because it's all for
Agreed.
safety eh. Kasi parang hindi naman, we're not getting any better, I think. Padami pa rin ng padami. So, ayan. So, konting ano lang talaga, sakripisyo din talaga
Konting
from
timpla and
us.
disiplina, partner, ano? And at the
Totoo.
end of the day, para sa atin din naman yun, yung protection na yun.
So true, so true. Kaya pag lumalabas po tayo, don't forget face mask, face shield, alcohol, and please follow yung mga protocols like parang refrain from touching anything, lalo na kung di naman
Ah,
kailangan, disinfect talaga, and pag nasa labas kayo, avoid talaga touching your eyes. Di ba yung mga bilan sa atin ng mga doktor? And we will learn more about all the safety tips sa ating two
yes.
doctors for tonight. Ayan. Right now, we have 60 viewers na. I think,
Wow,
60
60
viewers.
viewers. That's
So
great.
invite ko na
And
po, mga feasters, please invite your friends, your LG mates, your co-servants, ayan, para sabay-sabay tayong matuto for tonight. Very exciting night, very interesting night, and I'm sure marami tayong iuuwi sa mga pamilya natin ng mga learnings
Yes. And last few comments na basahin natin before we introduce our guest partner. Sabi ni Sis Ivy Medrano, hopeful pandemic. Ang daming discoveries. Nag-close ang doors ng mundo as a whole, but specific doors are slowly opening. Wow,
Gusto
I
ko
feel
yun
that this is very deep comment from Sis Ivy, and I'm happy for you, Sis Ivy, kung ano man yung mga pintong nagbukas. Baka love life yan, partner, or
Oh, why not? And
oportunidad sa
actually,
career.
and
We don't know. Pero,
I think everyone also can relate that, yeah, ang daming isa sa mga nagkaroon tayo ng opportunity to be with family, di ba? Kahit na ang dami nating na-miss out doing activities outdoors, parang this gave us a chance to really stop and be present with our family.
yes. Ayan. Father Bob also has a question which we can ask later. What is the recovery rate of people aged 0 to 49 if they get infected? Ayan. Thank you, Father Bob. And we're sure later our experts will be able to address that concern.
At mukhang marami na ding mga questions, no? So, umpisahan na natin to, partner sa.
Alright. Huwag na nating patagalin. Siyempre, ang ating first guest, kung naririnig nyo, mayroong umiiyak na bata. Hindi po yan ang guest natin. Yan po ang anak ko, si Zoe. Meron din siyang mga katanungan. But of course, I'd be happy to introduce our guest doctor. He is a medical director for holistic care of Nordic Medical Clinic. He is also a best-selling author of 2 books. Yan, maganda yung mga libro niya. Don't Let Them Lose You and Whole Again with Brother Bo Sanchez. And a health mentor and corporate speaker, Catholic lay preacher, builder. Ito, builder natin to sa Feast Mall of Asia or Feast at Home Saturday. And most of all, he is a husband, a father, and a friend to us all. Kilala nyo na to. Let's give a rain of hearts sa comments kay Brother Didoy Lubaton.
Hi, Brother Zach. Hi, Sis Shelly. Hi to everybody
Hello.
watching here today. Maraming salamat for this opportunity. Alam mo, I honor that we get to do this from time to time. Hindi naman lokohan, pero public service naman. And I'm so happy. I want to start by saying that this is in the name of Tita Carol, Tita Joey, everyone who recently passed away in our family. And in response, we wanted to just really reach out to people. And I hope that this will be a meaningful and fruitful discussion. Actually, I'm just going to be also listening to our expert. I don't know why you guys allowed me to be part of this one, but I'll wear my doctor hat on today. And so,
Siyempre, namin sulitin, Kuya Didoy. Hindi lang builder, but our doctor.
Actually, I was about to say that na si Doc Didoy is doctor in the house, doctor of our family at sa Feast Mall of Asia. And na-experience natin yan, especially ngayong pandemic na mahirap maghanap ng doktor. Lagi siyang, recently, hindi ko na ikukwento, recently meron tayong experience and talagang ready to help talaga lagi si Doc Didoy. So, I'm very grateful talaga. I feel very blessed na in our family, we have Doc Didoy.
Thanks,
Gusto ko
guys.
sana namin ipastok ngayon, Kuya Didoy, pero wag na lang muna sa ibang episode na lang.
Sabi ni Doc,
Gusto mo ikaw.
kota na.
Kota na.
Thank you, Doc Didoy, for being here. Sure. And joining Doc Didoy tonight is a doctor from RITM. Lagi natin ito narinig, di ba, partner? Since pandemic started, di ba, yung RITM. He is the head of the ER Department and Training Officer from RITM or Research Institute for Tropical Medicine. He is also a Clinical Associate Professor from UPPGH, Vice President for Philippine Society of Microbiology and Infectious Diseases. Ayan, yan talaga yung talagang doctor ngayon na kailangan yung mga nagsispecialize sa infectious diseases. Meron din siyang master's degree sa Tropical Medicine sa Nagasaki University, a Doctor of Medicine and Specialty in Infectious Disease in UPPGH. Feasters, let's give a warm welcome. Pusuan natin Dr. Arthur Desi Roman. Good evening.
Yay!
Hello, Dr. Des. Good evening po.
Good evening po. Narinig niyo po ako?
Yes po.
Yes,
Good
sige.
evening,
Hindi po ako,
Dr.
hindi.
Des.
Yes, Doc. Marami pong salamat for taking the time.
Hello.
Alam ko po, after namin makita lahat ng credentials, alam po namin napaka-busy nyo. Kaya maraming salamat po sa pag-guest po para sa pamilyang ito, sa aming
Hello.
Light of Jesus family. Thank you, Dr. Des.
And sa lahat ng viewers
Opo,
natin,
salamat
talagang
po.
this is... Thank you, Dr. Des. Si Dr. Des and Doc Didoy are authority figures talaga pagdating dito sa pandemic. So, feel free, again, to ask your questions in the comment section.
Kumbaga sulitin po natin si Dr. Des at si Dr. Didoy kasi magiging very helpful talaga to. Then, syempre, I think in stopping also, flattening the curve, kumbaga. Bago kami mag-start, Doc Didoy and Doc Des, sa mga details of COVID-19, we wanna be personal muna with you. Syempre,
Yes.
frontliners kayo.
Ayan na.
Kumbaga parang ramdam nyo Kumbaga napapanood namin sa news, yes, pero I think iba yung experience nyo nung dalawa, Dr. Des and Dr. Didoy. So, as doctors, how do you feel right now about this whole pandemic thing? Sige, let's start po siguro po with Doc Didoy muna. Si Doc Didoy, ang dami niyang nakakasalamuha ngayon na kailangan niyang ipa-swab test and all sa kanilang work. How do you feel as a doctor, Doc Didoy, nangyayari to lahat right in front of your very eyes and ibang-iba yung experience namin watching it on television sa na-experience mo?
Well, I think I think it's teaching us patience and perseverance. It's not a pretty sight when we see someone positive, someone dying, someone losing a job, someone getting hurt, somebody losing hope. So it's not easy, but this is us. This is our calling, and ginusto rin namin to. And we're just happy that people are getting to appreciate doctors, nurses, frontliners, grocery baggers, everybody in the front lines. And yeah, I think I still have a lot of hope for the future. I feel hopeful. That's basically it. I feel hopeful that this is going to bring us to better things, not bitter things. Yeah.
Thank you, Doc
Thank
Didoy,
you.
and we honor you. Thank you for serving.
And of
Thank
course, I'd
you.
also like to ask, Dr. Des, this is your field of expertise talaga. Specialty in infectious diseases. Kamusta po kayo as a doctor in this pandemic?
Hello, magandang gabi po. Unang-una po, correct ko lang muna. Hindi po ako yung Vice President ng PSMID. Ako lang po yung sa ngayon treasurer.
Okay po.
Oh, okay.
Sa ngayon lang, Doc. Sa ngayon lang.
Oo.
Ay.
Doc, mas na-kulitan talaga to.
Yung pandemic po kasi medyo sad siya. Every time I go to the mall, I go to public places, parang it's really affected us all. Nakikita mo lahat ng tao, naka-face mask, naka-face shield, ang lalayo. Nakaka-depress nga minsan kapag naglalakad ako sa mall, kapag nag-grocery, kasi it has come to this. Parang of all the different aspects of our lives, it's a virus that we don't even see na nag-cause this so much, not just in the Philippines but worldwide. But on the other hand, I also feel this is an opportunity for me as an infectious disease specialist. Dati kasi among the subspecialties, hindi naman kami talaga, yung iba nga hindi alam, di ba, na mayroon palang infectious disease specialist. There are a lot of people na nagko-consult ng cardiologists, doctors of the heart, doctors of the kidneys. But yeah, meron din kami na we were able to contribute to the control and so hopefully eventual elimination of COVID-19. And by saying that we contribute not only to the patients, but ang maganda kasi we also contribute to the safety of our colleagues, diba? During the initial part of the pandemic, hindi alam ng lahat kung paano mo poprotektahan yung sarili nila. Hindi alam ng hospitals kung paano isi-set up yung hospital rooms, kung paano yung dapat na process para maiwasan yung transmission from the patient to the healthcare workers. And that's really something. Diba? That put us in a position na it's a curse, but at the same time it's also a privilege. Parang ganun.
Thank you so much, Dr. Des, for your work and your mission as a doctor of infectious diseases pa talaga. Yan.
I just wanna honor Dr. Des and the society that he's with. Totoo yun na without the infectious disease specialists, even doctors, nurses, healthcare workers wouldn't know what to do with it. So that's really, really true. So when we thought of doing this, wala na ako ibang naisip kundi si Doc Des. So I'm so happy that we have him today. Ano yan? Sobrang busy ng tao na yan.
Hindi po.
Ano,
But really, I think it's a teamwork. Oo, kasi we are one part of it. Bilib na bilib din ako sa mga nurses na sobrang tapang at saka masipag. Oo, nandyan din yung mga janitors na they're also part of the frontliners, di ba? Oo, nung peak ng pandemic, pag nauubusan na ako ng pagkain, tapos namimili ko sa mga grocery, tuloy-tuloy pa rin pumapasok yung mga cashiers, yung mga counters na nagsiserve sa mga tao, 'di ba? The guards are all there, sila yung nagsiscreen. So to each his own. And parang bawat isa sa atin meron naman talagang role na piniplay.
Yes, and speaking of that, Dr. Des, sabi mo nga teamwork to. So, syempre kami din na mga members of every family, meron role to play. Kaya maganda po siguro mapag-usapan ano ba yung mga pwede naming gawin. And to start with that, siguro pag-usapan po muna natin ano ba yung status po natin ngayon sa Pilipinas para din we know kung saan ba kami pupwesto, kaming mga hindi doctors, hindi nurse, pero lumalabas, nagpapatuloy ng buhay, nag-grocery. So ano na po ba ang status natin ngayon ng COVID-19 dito sa Pilipinas?
Well, the sad news is COVID-19 is still here. And we expect COVID-19 to still be here. Kahit na dumating yung Pasko, kahit na dumating ang 2021 na ba, nawala na ako, sorry Medyo disoriented na ako sa month tsaka sa year Oo, kahit na para sabihin natin, fast forward to 2021, hindi naman maaalis yung COVID-19 kahit na dumating yung February, Valentine's Day of 2021. So it's really doing our best to decrease the risk of getting COVID-19 and hopefully we'll be able to eliminate dun sa mga strategies na parati natin nire-recommend. I know that in the hospitals, it's a bit better now.
Yeah.
Compared to, let's say, nung March or April, and even the second surge, parang we've had a second surge a few months back nung nag-call ng time out yung mga healthcare workers, di ba? Oo, nagkaroon kasi talaga ng another resurgence ng cases and sabi nga nila parang mas marami pa yung mga critical patients during that second surge. But now it's a bit better. Oo. At RITM, for example, hindi na ganun karami yung confirmed cases. Even in the hospitals that I work in, hindi na rin ganun kadami. And some of the hospitals that have been dedicated previously just for COVID-19, they are now converted back to serving mga non-COVID patients.
Good to hear, no, na parang may kumbaga better, parang nagiging mas mabuti yung mga yung lagay natin ngayon, yung status and yung cases nga so far medyo nakokontrol na rin kahit papaano, right Doc Des? Sabi mo yung mga sitwasyon ngayon sa hospital is becoming better na rin.
Doc Des and Doc Didoy, I'd also like to ask, since most of our watchers here today, ang mga viewers natin, I'm sure na nadaanan din nila yung dating pandemic, yung SARS, yung H1N1. What's the difference of this pandemic to those previous pandemics that we have experienced?
Ako, Doc Des, I'll start first before you answer as a specialist. I think this is really, really new to a lot of us. The previous infections that you mentioned really were on specific locations, not in a worldwide scale. And I think we're not just fighting a physical virus here. It also enabled psychological viruses, worry, fear, anxiety. And we've never seen it before. We've never seen people really on lockdowns. We've never seen people have to wear masks. We cannot hug people. I cannot hug my mom. So I think it's it's really new and it shocked all of us. But as Dr. Des said, things are getting better and there is hope and it's getting controlled, even if we see a tiny, tiny bit of it. But I think we are on our way towards that. Maybe Dr. Des, you could share as well what made it happen, why we see a little bit of control now and the hospitals are not so full before para maintindihan ng mga tao. Exciting.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I am not really a public health doctor. I may not be the best person to tell you why it has come to this. But what I know is, despite our efforts, halimbawa sa RITM, we've been trying to prepare for a pandemic. Oo. I don't think any preparation could have prepared us to face this one. Hindi lang naman sa Pilipinas, di ba? Kahit sa US and other yung mga developed countries nga, di ba? Nagkaroon din sila ng problem as far as control. But I know that back in 2003, ilang taon ba ako noong 2003, Doc Didoy? Parang 13 years old ata ako noong 2003. Kasi yun yung ano, I was a medical clerk back then. And honestly, I cannot really remember yung SARS coronavirus to have really affected me in any way. Kahit na medical student na nga ako noon because that was despite it reaching a lot of different countries, hindi siya ganito ka widespread. Yung Ebola, you've heard about Ebola, di ba, ng 2014 to 2015, an outbreak that occurred in countries sa West Africa. We were very prepared back then. Sa RITM, we prepared a lot of trainings for us to be prepared, how to wear the personal protective equipment, how to recognize and how to test yung patients who might have Ebola virus disease. But the good news about that is it never reached the Philippines. Diba? We've had several cases, maybe about 22 cases of suspect Ebola. Pero none of them turned out to be positive, which is always good. Diba? What else? Ano pa ba yung mga outbreak na kinaharap natin during my limited experience? Noong 2009, ayan, 19 years old po ako noong 2009. Si Doc Didoy 20 years old siya noon.
Yeah.
Noong 2009, I'm not sure if you can remember Ondoy.
Yes,
Diba?
2009, yes.
So that was something local. That was the first time na yung baha ever reached the inside of our house. Hindi naman binabaha yung bahay namin but during that time, binaha ang buong Metro Manila and then 2 or 3 weeks later, nagkaroon ng pagdagsa ng cases ng leptospirosis. And that particular outbreak has really put leptospirosis at the forefront. Di naman natin alam ang leptospirosis dati. Diba? But because of that, alam natin na yung mga daga, yung mga pagwiwi ng daga, it's really a risk factor for us getting leptospirosis. And in a way, that's good kasi medyo alam natin yung disease presentation and that we Filipinos are at risk of leptospirosis para kumonsulta tayo ng maaga. Diba? Oo. Sorry, nalimutan ko. Around that time also, 2009, swine flu. Yeah, we used to name it swine flu, di ba? Oo, pero sabi nila, we don't associate diseases with animals. It's not really their fault. And we don't also associate diseases sa mga places, di ba? Oo. It was first reported in Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. Oo. They thought it was really a bad outbreak of flu kasi parang initially, marami yung critical cases. But later on, we found out that it was relatively a mild disease. It even reached the Philippines. Fellow po ako nun. Ako sa mga unang nagdudot-dot sa ilong, yung swab, tsaka oropharyngeal swab to check for H1N1. And sa RITM din pinapadala yung yung specimens. We have had some lessons from those experiences. But again, every episode of outbreak, every episode of pandemic is unique. Ang tao yan, di ba? Hindi naman pare-pareho yan. Yung setting kung bakit nagkaroon ng H1N1 noong 2009, ibang-iba na yun ngayon.
Yeah.
Ngayon, di ba, ang dali na nating mag-travel. Oo, ang dami ng mga ano ba, budget flights. And so we can go from one place to another. Hindi naman ganun kadali dati. And you know that movement of people from one country to another, that is always a risk factor for a disease to enter the different countries. The viruses does not recognize any boundaries, any national boundaries.
So kumbaga, Doc Des, ang daming game changer. Kaya yung pag-spread ng virus, talagang ganun na lang. And because yun nga po, what I'm getting from you, Doc Des, is ang difference nito from the question nga of Zach is widespread talaga siya, tumigil ang mundo. So lahat tayo ngayon, meron tayong role sa COVID-19. So
definitely.
Ngayon po, Doc, nagbabalik na po talaga yung mga tao going on with their lives, with their work, dami na pumapasok kahit mahirap mag-commute. Ano po ba yung role natin? Bawat isa sa atin.
Okay.
Siyempre, hindi na to, yun nga po sabi nyo nga po kanina, lahat apektado in other countries. Pag mag-travel ka and all, ano po ba yung role natin? I know, paulit-ulit po, pero very important. Ano po ba yung role natin ngayon? Ano yung mga pwede natin gawin na nandito pa rin ang COVID-19 sa Pilipinas?
Mauna lang po muna ako kay Doc Didoy ngayon. We are at this point na we are trying to open up the economy already. And we are really trying to go back to the closest we can get to the normal that we were used to. There has to be some paradigm shift already. Parati nating binabanggit yung term na frontliners, and we associated the term frontliners to us healthcare workers looking at patients. But in one of the sessions that I have attended with one of the physicians, it's not really us, kaming mga healthcare workers yung frontliners. Actually, kami nga dapat yung last liners. Kasi if patients are in our front already, consulting at the emergency room, ibig sabihin, ang dami ng steps na nalampasan as far as prevention of that infection is concerned. Diba? So, the frontliner should actually be each and every one of us in the community. Kasi tayo yung humaharap sa sa virus, sa mga pasyente who might possibly have the COVID-19 virus, di ba? So, everything starts from us as individuals. Kasama po kami dyan kasi kapag hindi na kami nasa loob ng ospital, hindi na kami naka-PPE, we are also members of the community. Diba? At maaari din kaming magkaroon ng COVID-19 if we let our guards down. Oo. So, paulit-ulit man kami sinasabi na wear your mask, ano pa ba, wear your face shield, physical distancing, and hand hygiene. Pero kasi, yun talaga yung apat na nagwo-work para sa atin. Oo. So, makulit man kami at sabihin nyo man na, yan lang naman yung sasabihin nila eh. Pero kasi, those simple things are the things that work. Diba?
Yes.
So, before we even step up to things na add-on, let's build on that. Let's build on those simple things.
And kung yung mga simple rules na ito, hindi natin masusunod, mas komplikado yung kailangan natin gawin.
Totoo naman po yun.
Diba po, Doc Des, pag hospital na po tayo, mas magiging komplikado na. Doc Didoy, Doc Des, mag-nitty-gritty lang ako doon. Tama si Doc Des, diba pa ulit-ulit nga, pero yun yung mga pinaka-importante. Pero pwede po ba akong mag-nitty-gritty doon? Doc Didoy, ano po ba yung ma-recommend nyo? Kasi diba, after
Sige
po noon,
of
paglalabas, sinabi na po dito ni Doc Des and yung pong mga gagawin, face mask, face shield, social distancing. Pag-uwi po natin sa bahay, ano po ba yung mga recommended? Kasi yung iba po parang, nag-face mask naman ako, nag-face shield na lang ako. Ano po ba yung dapat gagawin? Doc Didoy, would you like to
Home
give your
protocols,
thoughts?
yeah.
Ako, Shelly, gusto ko lang sakayan sinabi ni Dr. Des. It's the same thing. May hashtag tayo dyan. Nakuha ko rin kay Dr. Des yan hashtag humadis. Hashtag hugas, mask, distansya. Yun. Napakasimple. Lagyan mo na lang ng face shield sa huli. Genius is making the complicated simple, sabi ni Albert Einstein. And it may be a complicated pandemic, but the answer is very simple. Prevent the transmission by hugas, mask, distansya. And then keeping your immune system healthy. And if a person is healthy at home, and then another person is healthy at home, and then another person is healthy at home, you get to prevent it. The problem arises when there's a break in that chain. Minsan, uh, we let our guards down. Sometimes parang wala lang, parang wala namang virus dyan, and we're acting as if we're back to normal. Ang ganda din ng point ni Doc Des na we have to have a paradigm shift. It's never going to be the same again. I'm sorry to tell you that. We have a new virus we've never seen before, and it's kind of here to stay for the coming months. So if we cannot change that, then we look at ourselves and then change our habits. Like I used to see my mom every other week, monthly, but now less because my mom is a 70-plus-year-old elderly. We used to hug each other in the feasts, but now we cannot meet in the feast because we never know if it becomes a super spreader event or whatever. So, yun yung mga kailangan nating tanggapin within ourselves. Instead of complaining, start complimenting each other and protecting each other. That's my call. So here, I'm a frontliner. I make sure I'm healthy. I'm going to the clinic every single day, and I gotta get good sleep. I gotta get good food. I gotta be able to, drink lots of water. I gotta get some sun, stay active, and then take some supplements like vitamin C plus zinc. Dr. Des can explain further kung meron pang mga pwedeng gawin. But again, basically, protecting yourself. I always say this, sawang-sawa na kayo na sinasabi ko ito. Once you take care of yourself, you get to take care of others. So it's basically a personal responsibility. If everybody takes a chance and takes an effort to take care of oneself, being personally responsible for your health, you get to protect yourself and you get to protect your family. Yeah.
Well said, Doc Didoy and Dr. Des. And partner, I think this is an awareness break for everyone who is watching right now. If you who are watching this and you feel na medyo complacent ka na and relax ka na, hindi ka na masyado nagdi-disinfect, naguhugas ng kamay, please be reminded that you have a role. This is your personal responsibility, your health, and if you take care of yourself, you take care of others. Wonderfully said by Dr. Didoy and Dr. Des. And partner, I just have a question related to this.
Go ahead, partner.
Ang ganda nung mga sinabi nila ng how we can help stop spreading the virus through our actions. But Doc Didoy, Doc Des, I noticed there is a collective mindset of fear that is going on with this pandemic. Ako personally, minsan napaparanoid ako lumabas. Nakaka-paranoid makipag-usap sa ibang tao. Even in my work, I have to meet my clients, but I'd rather stay at home. What can you advise those people who are right now experiencing that fear of the pandemic?
Simple ko yung tanong, Zach. Tanong natin kay Dr. Des. Dr. Des, is it safe to go outside? Coming from an infectious disease specialist.
Yan.
Ang hirap po sagutin. Ang hirap sagutin ng tanong. Kasi napakaraming aspeto ng buhay ng isang tao. Diba? Health is one. Work is another. Being a member of the family is another. Being a member of the community is another. And there has to be a balance when you try to perform all of your roles. Now, having said that, the way you deal with COVID-19 is you try to minimize the risk. Wala naman, even when you talk about infection control inside the hospital, wala naman talagang zero risk. Kahit na isuot mo yung PPE na yan, mag-physical distancing ka, wala talagang zero risk. Our goal is to really minimize. So, on the top of it, you want to remove the risk. So if there is any chance that you can remove your risk of getting COVID-19, then you do that. Okay? Halimbawa, ang trabaho mo ay, your work can allow you to not go out. You can work at home or work from home. Then that's good. Then natatanggal mo yung risk of you going out of the house. Diba? So you go with that. Pero kung hindi posible, bank teller ka, paano naman yun? Hindi ka naman pwedeng mag-work from home na bank teller ka, di ba? Oo. So, yeah, you do your work. You mean you practice what we are recommending. Oo. So, yung basic pa rin na apat, and I'm sure that almost all of our establishments right now, they are doing their best to optimize their areas para maging COVID-19 friendly sila. Oo. So, ito na yung level up na sinasabi natin. So, after your basic precautions as a person, dadagdag na dyan yung mga environmental controls in the workplace, di ba? Kasama dyan yung dapat maganda yung ventilation dun sa opisina nyo. Dapat yung upuan ay hiwa-hiwalay, hindi pwedeng magkakadikit. Dapat sana air-cool tayo. Kung hindi kayang mag-air-cool, alam niyo air-cool, di ba? Instead of aircon, kung pwede, bubukas yung mga bintana para pumasok yung yung hangin. O para hindi stagnant yung air sa loob, because you know that stagnant air inside a room, that will facilitate transmission of COVID-19. So, halimbawa, hindi naman talaga kaya eh. Tapos napakainit ngayon, then another intervention that you can do is put some air purifiers maybe, di ba? Or frequent disinfection. Another layer that most establishment have put in place yung screening. O, di ba lahat ng establishment ngayon merong health declaration checklist?
Yes.
Yeah. Oo. So it's very important for us to accomplish them completely and honestly. 'Di ba? Oo, kasi part ng responsibility natin 'yan as Filipinos and as members of the world, citizens of the world, na i-disclose kung ano man yung nararamdaman natin para ma-prevent yung transmission or early detection and isolation. Oo. 'Di ba? Yun po.
Thank you, Doc Des, sa mga reminders na yan. Kaya alam ko, marami sa atin, di ba, minsan nakakatamad. Gusto mo nang kumuha ng kape. Bibili ka na sa ating famous coffee neighbor na favorite. Gusto mo pang mag-perform pa. So, tama si Doc Des, no? Parang nagigilty naman ako na, oo nga, parang wag na tayong tamarin para sa atin naman yan. Kasi nga, sabi nga kanina, 'di ba, kung yung mga simple di natin kayang gawin, baka magsisi tayo pag komplikado na yung pinapagawa sa atin sa hospital. Pero Doc Des and Doc Didoy, yun nga po, ang dami na po, may mga sinasabi kayong mga trabaho ngayon na hindi pwede work from home. Siyempre, lumalaban tayo para sa ekonomiya dahil para rin sa pamilya. Doc, ito, naku-curious talaga ako kasi ang dami kong inputs na naririnig. Pag umuwi ng bahay, naliligo po ba dapat? Tapos ano po ba dapat? Warm water po ba? O kung ano lang yung normal? Meron po kasi ako mga ganun naririnig. I think it would be very helpful to finally address this na baka yung iba okay lang, di na maligo or okay na yan, kahit ano lang. Dapat po ba maligo pagkadating ng bahay?
Sige, Doc Des.
Nagturuan tayo, Doc.
Ikaw specialista ko.
Ikaw muna, Doc.
Ano na lang, very basic answer. May dala ka, huwag mo nang iuwi. So, kung anong dala mo, huwag mo na iuwi. Tapos si Doc Des na mag-explain. Ayan.
Go, Doc Des.
Kasi whatever you get from the community, whatever you get from work, ayaw mo yung iuwi sa bahay. So how do you do it, di ba? Kung pwede, soon as you get home, maligo, di ba? Or change your work clothes, your outside clothes to something that's clean. And
okay.
Kadali namang patayin yan eh. Di ba? It can be washed away by your simple soap and water, by your usual na alcohol na 60 to 70%. So I think that's always good practice. There are things na hindi naman natin kailangan ng mga clinical trials at mga hard na scientific evidence para gawin. Di ba?
Common sense.
Tama yun. I wanted to use that word, Doc Didoy, common sense. But I know that common sense is not too common. So, sabihin na lang natin na, yes, by all means, let's take a bath pagdating natin ng bahay para ma-wash away natin yung mga dumi-dumi. Hindi lang COVID-19.
Doc Des,
sa labas ng bahay, maligo daw.
May tanong ako, kung work from home naman ako tapos deliveries. Yan. Kasi may mga nagkakwento nila yung COVID-19 sa deliveries. Is it true? And what can we do about it? O di syempre ako na nagtanong, di ba?
Dok, ang primary mode of transmission ng COVID-19 is still respiratory droplet transmission. Ibig sabihin yung pasyente na mayroong COVID-19 umubo or bumahing, yung COVID-19 sumasama dun sa mga respiratory secretions niya sa laway or sa sipon. Pag bumahing ka, tapos na-expose ka dun sa pasyente na yun, that's how you get COVID-19 primarily. Meron po kayong naririnig na maaaring airborne daw yung COVID-19. Pag sinabi nyo kasing airborne, maaaring pagkaubo mo dahil masyadong maliit yung virus, it stays in the air for quite some time. Or medyo mas malayo yung nararating niya, more than 1 or 2 meters. That's possible, but that usually happens inside the hospital setting kapag yung mga doktor o yung mga healthcare workers ay gumagawa ng mga procedure that can generate the aerosols. Halimbawa, yung pasyente ay kailangang lagyan ng tubo para tulungan siyang huminga or kailangang i-nebulize, then those are activities na nagpo-produce ng aerosols. But in general, in the community, wala naman pong ganon. Okay? So, at the community level, the mask should suffice. Pero, halimbawa kami sa hospital and we will take care of a patient na iniisip namin na magkakaroon ng aerosol generation, and 95 po kami. Diba? So, there's another route of transmission, contact transmission ang sinasabi. So, pag sinabi niyong contact, halimbawa ako ay pasyente na COVID-19, umubo ako, nalagyan, na-contaminate yung cellphone ko. Oo. Tapos pinatong ko ito, may sumunod na pasyente o may sumunod na tao sa trabaho ko, hinawakan yung cellphone ko, tapos hindi nag-hand washing, hindi nag-alcohol, maaari niyang makuha ang COVID-19 kung yung kamay na pinanghawak niya sa telepono ko ay hinawak sa mata, hinawak sa ilong, hinawak sa bibig. So that's contact transmission. Oo. But it's not as important as respiratory droplet. But sabi nga natin, whatever we can to try to decrease the risk, we do it, di ba? Yung risk ng, halimbawa, meron tayong mga package, may mga delivery tayo from our online shopping na dumating, it's always good na after nating buksan yung mga packages na yon, mag-perform tayo ng hand washing or hand hygiene with soap, with alcohol na 60 to 70%. Others would try to quarantine muna yung mga yung mga pinadala nila o mga package. Oo. That is possible. That's possible kasi there are studies na nagsasabi that the virus stays in certain types of materials at different periods of time. Correct. So medyo mas matagal magstay yung virus sa mga surfaces na porous. Halimbawa sa mga tela, sa mga kahon, pero dun sa mga plastic, for example, mas mabilis kasing mawala yung virus. Oo. But I know na iba sa atin, pandemic na nga ang tagal na nating naka-lockdown, hindi tayo makakapaghintay ng 3 days para buksan yung package na yan.
Yes, so,
diba?
walang
Thank you, Shopee.
Walang makakapaghintay sa atin ng 3 days. So, what we do is, we carefully open these packages para hindi siya mag-generate ng air or whatever, and then afterwards, we just perform our usual hand washing or hand hygiene.
Doc, kwento ko lang, may isang nagkwento talaga sa akin. Totoong story to. Nagpa-deliver daw siya ng pizza. Tulog siya nang dumating, nakatulog. Pagdating daw, nilaysol ng nanay niya yung buong pizza, inside and out.
Oh my.
So, hindi rin niya nakain.
Lysol flavor na yung pizza.
Oo nga.
Medyo
Yung
delikado
pepperoni
yan.
ni Lysol.
Sorry,
So,
pinapatawa ko lang kayo. True story.
Dahil Doc, dahil sabi mo nga po sa mga tela, so dapat pala, pagkadating namin, kung galing kami sa work or nag-grocery sa labas, labhan na agad yung mga damit, no?
Sana po, if we can do it. And even the cloth mask that we use. Cloth mask ay effective. Oo.
Okay.
Probably they are not as effective as yung surgical mask that we use. But as far as community use is concerned, kung wala tayong pambili ng surgical mask, that's okay. Gumagana po ang cloth mask.
Mhm.
Oo, pero baka kailangan lang na magpalit tayo ng
Paghalan.
cloth mask ng mas madalas. Maybe
Mhm.
we can bring with us at least 2 or 3 cloth masks
Mhm.
para kapag nabasa na po kasi yan, medyo mataas na yung risk for contamination. Oo. And if we are going to use our cloth mask, siguro kailangan din natin magdala siguro ng paper bag na paglalagyan natin ng cloth mask na soiled na. Yung madumi na cloth mask. Siyempre, ayaw nating ilagay yung cloth mask na basa na or gamit na dun sa loob ng bag natin.
Mm-mm.
Diba?
Yung contact nga na sinasabi mo kanina, Doc Des, to,
Reducing the
sa
risk.
cellphone.
Speaking of face mask, Doc Des and Doc Didoy, meron tayong comment from our viewer, si Anel. Sabi niya, tuwing kailan po kailangan magpalit ng face mask kung 12 hours kang nasa labas ng bahay dahil sa work? Ayan.
Opo. In general, sabi nila 1 day is a good duration bago mo palitan yung face mask. Oo. But, as long as it's not physically damaged or hindi naman sobrang dumi, then you can actually extend the use of your face mask. Oo. So, kung halimbawa, sobrang, alam mo yun, hindi naman kasi mura din ang face mask. Oo. So, pwede natin silang i-alternate if we have several face masks with us. So, for today, we use face mask A. For tomorrow, we use face mask B. And then for the next day, we use face mask C. Oo. But of course, face mask is not something na pwedeng laban or pwedeng i-disinfect ng alcohol. Alcohol and detergent destroys the architecture, the structure of this face mask. Oo.
Meron po bang hierarchy of which face mask is the best? N95, surgical, and then cloth?
Meron pong ganyan. Meron pong mga ganyang pag-aaral. Of course, ang pinakamataas yung protection, and these masks are actually made to afford or provide that protection. It's N95 mask. Meron nga tayong tinatawag na P99 or P100 mask, di ba? Yung parang astronaut na gano'n. We use that at RITM and in some hospitals. Oo. Pero ang hirap naman kasing mag-communicate kapag yun ang suot mo. Paano ka mag-grocery? Paano mo tatanungin kung nasaan ang bilihan ng sardinas kung hindi ka naririnig nung pagtatanungan mo, di ba? Oo. So that is supposed to be for hospital use. And 95, ang hirap din yan sa community, lalo na kung ang init, di ba? Oo, tapos ikaw ay frontliner, ikaw ay security guard na you have to answer to a lot of inquiries by other people. Oo, paano naman yun, di ba? Hindi ka marinig. Oo. So, the surgical mask would suffice.
Yan, pwede na sa atin to. Bibigyan ko kayo.
The protection is not as high, but you don't really need that high of a protection in the community. Kasi in the community, di ba, maganda naman yung ventilation usually. Next, yung mga cloth mask, okay? Pwede rin po yan. Again, with the precautions that I told you earlier. Meron din yung tube mask. I'm not sure if you've seen those tube masks. Yung nilalagay sa leeg. Hindi siya mask pero
Yun po ba yung sa mga nagmo-motor po?
Oo, parang neck warmer. Oo, parang gano'n. Oo. Yeah, yung nakaganyan. Oo.
Okay.
So, that can work also, but again, kailangan ingat tayo kapag ginagamit natin yun. Hindi pwedeng taas, baba, taas, baba.
Okay.
Tapos pag tinatanggal natin yon, kailangan ingat din po tayo that it does not contaminate our nose and our mouth pag nire-remove natin. Kasi if we use it improperly, there's some studies would show na mas mataas yung risk of getting an infection if we don't use the tube mask properly.
And Doc Des, siguro kailangan ma-remind din po tayong lahat dun sa disposal, no? Kasi nga para nagmamask tayo and then hawakan naman natin ang hinahawakan. Pag tinatanggal natin, hinawakan na natin lahat ng kumapit dun sa labas.
Ay, thank you po, Ma'am Shelly.
Shelly na lang po.
Thank you po, Ma'am Shelly, ha. Oo. I forgot to tell you earlier na nung peak ng pandemic po, March, April, May, ilan lang talaga yung lumalabas yan eh. Baka mamaya kami lang ni Doc Didoy yung lumalabas, di ba? Pag nagmamaneho po ako, yung mula Alabang hanggang Maynila, kaya ko yan ng 20 minutes. Oo. Wala talagang tao. Pero the few people na nakikita ko, gumagamit talaga ng mask. Okay? And even nung nag-GCQ na tayo, even the vendors ng candy sa labas, gumagamit talaga ng mask. And every time I see them, medyo tumataas nga yung balahibo ko eh. Kasi parang they are doing their part para mag-comply sa recommendations. But compliance is one, but doing the strategy correctly is another.
Correct.
So nasasayang po kasi, nasasayang yung paggamit ng mask if you don't use it properly. Oo, so I see a lot of people nandito yung mask, 'di ba? Or pag kinakausap mo na, or pag kinakausap mo ng ganyan, lalapit si security guard, boss, saan dito yung Jollibee? Ganon. Oo. So nawawala yung point of wearing a mask. Oo. So a lot of people also, kapag ina-adjust nila yung mask nila, ganyan, or taas na ganyan. Oh, so you don't usually touch the outside portion of the mask. Okay, after using it, parang that's an area that should not be touched forever. So if you want to adjust, you use the strap to adjust, okay? Or you try to touch the inside
Sabayan
portion.
kita, Doc.
Try to touch the inside portion of the mask para lang matulungan tayo na mag-adjust. And also,
possible nga, Doc.
and when you remove it, do not touch this one also, yung labas. Just use the strap.
Strap lang po.
Kung one way for you to conserve your mask, halimbawa, you just want to use one mask at a time, kapag kakain, di ba, wag nating i-place yung mask kung saan-saan lang. One way for you is to bring the paper bag that I was telling you earlier. Or kung hindi naman po, kuha kayo ng tissue. Opo, tapos maglapag ng tissue dun maybe sa seat beside you. Tapos dun nyo po ipatong yung face down yung mask.
Face down.
Tapos kakain kayo. Pagkatapos yung kumain, then you use it again. Isuot po ulit. But you wear it, pero you do not touch the outside portion. Okay? Tapos after you wear it again, use your alcohol or wash your hands.
Use your alcohol. Okay.
Doc Des, marami na rin nagtatanong ngayon ng mga nausong maganda tingnan na copper face masks. What can you say about it?
Sabi nagko-comment sa copper mask.
That's okay po. There are studies that would say that the virus does not stay on copper surfaces as long as compared with other surfaces. Parang mas hindi nagpe-persist sa copper surfaces yung COVID-19, yung coronavirus. And that is probably the reason why they thought of using copper as a material to cover, as an outer covering for masks. That's okay. It can be used, but it cannot replace yung mga respirators natin na kailangan gamitin sa hospital setting. So yung mga N95 or P100, that is not supposed to be replaced by the copper mask. But in the community, by all means, sure, we can use the copper mask.
So sa mga viewers natin, you have the choice. Ang dami nating options. So pinaliwanag na malinaw nila Dr. Des.
Yeah. So we are now in a decade ba or in a century na dapat open tayo sa mga technologies. So we don't want to shut down those technologies. We want those technologies coming in. But what we want is more evidence.
Yeah.
More
So if we have evidence that this copper mask can filter 99% of the particulates, then that's the time that we recommend using this mask inside the hospital. But in the absence of that evidence, sa community pwede naman po. And then we perform research to support our cause.
So I think Dr. Des is saying that there's supposed to be a functionality and you understand the functionality of what you use. And then they're also balancing it on the practicality. And if everybody cannot wear N95, kawawa yung mga nasa ospital. But if you're taking care of a COVID person at home, at hindi pa kinukuha ng quarantine facility or, managing it at home, of course, if you have
Of course.
it, wear it. So practicality and functionality is very much
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, definitely.
We have to take care also na yung supply for the medical frontliners
Correct.
meron pa rin. Opo. And once and for all po ito, may nagtatanong po ulit
Ayan
si
na, partner.
Angelica May Tabiraw. Ano daw po ba yung correct way? Ano po yung nasa labas? Yung puti po o yung
Let's
blue?
settle the issue.
Let's settle it once and for all tonight. Blue po o white?
So, yung blue po kasi, yan yung water impermeable layer. So, ayan yung blue. Hindi ko alam kung nakikita nyo. Oh,
Yes,
kunwari,
Yes,
Doc
po.
Didoy, kunwari, vlogger tayo. O, nakikita nyo
Sige,
po ba?
sige.
Mine na lang po.
Oh, so two sides mo, 'di ba? Colored, tapos ito yung puti. So yung colored po, this is the water impermeable layer. Ibig sabihin hindi yan tinatagusan ng tubig. Oo. Tapos yung loob po, yan po yung water absorbent layer. Meron pa pong sa loob, merong layer in between. Absorbent layer din ang tawag natin. So, ang purpose nitong water repellent layer para hindi po tumagos yung mga secretions coming from outside. Oo. So, yan talaga yung parating nasa labas. The colored side is out. And the purpose
Kasi nga po
of
pala may
this,
iba-ibang kulay, no?
oo, and the purpose of this, yung puti na layer, is to absorb the secretions coming from the wearer. Oo. Kasi ang pangit naman po, kung yan ay puro water repellent layer, edi baka by the end of 2 or 3 hours, baka basang-basa na po yung yung bibig natin. 'Di ba? Medyo kadiri po. Oo.
Oh, ayun, na-settle na natin yung colored kasi nga may
Okay.
iba hindi naman blue, may pink, may yellow, ganyan. So yung colored sa labas po.
Opo.
Very well explained by Dr. Des. And si
Galing, no?
Gretchen,
Napakasimple pero
Super!
napaka-
Grabe, ang dami ko natutunan kay Doc Des talaga. At
Grabe.
pero ano pa yan, umpisa pa lang yan, no, partner?
May tanong pa.
Yes.
Go, Zach.
last question na siguro about the mask. Kasi si Gretchen, tinanong niya, which is safer, N95 or surgical mask? I think na-answer rin to kanina. Tinanong niya si Kai,
Gretchen,
Doc.
kamag-anak ko yan. So, go, Doc Des. Ikaw na lang sumagot.
Bawat klaseng mask po ay merong indication kung saan mo siya dapat gamitin.
Very
For
good.
us in the community, tama na po yung yung surgical mask. Opo. During the start of the pandemic nung January, I think, nung pwede pang mag-travel before the lockdown, I did see a lot of passengers, especially inside the plane, na naka-N95 sila. I can just imagine the hirap kasi syempre pag nasa taas ka ng himpapawid, medyo mas mababa yung oxygen concentration, di ba? Yeah, you just have to choose the right mask to do the job.
Correct.
Okay. So you have a choice. But community level, okay na po tayo sa surgical mask. Your choice na lang po. Yan. Thank you, Doc Des and Doc Didoy. Partner, ito lang, tanong ko lang din from my father-in-law sa comment section. Related sa pag-disinfect or sa COVID-19, sa anong temperature namamatay daw ang COVID-19 virus? From Arthur Mendoza.
From father-in-law.
Yes, from Papa.
Yeah, usually most of the envelope viruses, pag na-reach nyo na yung 60 degrees Celsius, hindi na sila nagtatribe dyan, namamatay na sila.
60.
Oo. Once 60 degrees Celsius, medyo mainit na yan eh. It can cause some burns already. Oo. And there has to be some amount of contact already, at least 1 minute, para mapatay yung yung COVID-19. You don't have to really use heat para i-disinfect yung mga bagay-bagay. Heat inactivation of viruses is one way to kill the virus, but there are other ways to kill the virus. Hand washing with soap and water is another way. And that's easier, di ba? Oo, yung mechanical action of the soap and the running water and you rubbing your hands, that is actually a good way for the virus to be removed from the surface. Alcohol also, na 70%. Oo. I-emphasize lang natin, Doc Tido, yung 70% kasi
Yan.
there's alcohol available na there's alcohol available na 40%. It has other uses, usually sa cosmetics po, but for disinfection, it's really the 70% that we want. So ingat po tayo. Kasi sa mga shelves, minsan magkatabi po yung 40% tsaka yung 70%. Tapos makikita mo, merong 500 ml na 49 pesos, merong 500 ml na same brand, pero 79 pesos yung alcohol. Siyempre, ang tendency mo, kunin yung 49 pesos kasi mas mura. Pag uwi mo sa bahay, 40% alcohol pala yun. So you have to make sure it's 70%.
Correct.
At dahil dyan, mga doctors, napatingin ako sa alcohol. 70 naman po ang nandito sa bahay na ito. Napatingin talaga ako, 70% ba itong ginagamit namin dito? Thank you, Doc. Ito na, Doc.
May kwento ko ulit dyan na sabi sa akin na, Doc, nag-alcohol naman ako ba't ako nagkasakit? Sabi ko, ano bang alcohol ginagamit mo? 40%, 70%, 70%. Sabi niya, iniinom ko pa nga yung alcohol. Sabi ko, ano pa alam? Red horse.
Malakas ang tama.
Ibang alcohol pala.
Dami mga tao, mga ganyan Parang tatawanan ko na lang. Pero hindi siya nakakatawa. So, please take care of yourself.
Eto nga, Doc Didoy, Doc Des, ang dami po nating dinidiscuss ng mga preventions, ganyan. Paano po pag nangyari na ng isang family member naapektuhan, may isang family member tayo COVID positive? Ano po ba yung dapat nating response yung other members of the family? What do we do?
Okay, let's not start with a COVID positive test right away kasi everybody will start out being a COVID-19 suspect. Diba? Okay. When we started out, when you develop fever, when you develop cough, yung diarrhea, yung anosmia, yung hindi po makaamoy, or nawawalan ng panlasa. Oo, those are signs and symptoms na maaaring meron kang COVID-19. Ang sabi before, i-isolate mo yung sarili mo right away, tapos kung wala ka namang comorbidities, hindi ka high blood or hindi ka diabetic, you just stay at home. Oo. But that was during the time na hindi pa ganun ka-accessible yung testing. Ngayon kasi marami ng mga molecular laboratory tests that we can go to, and even the hospitals, the government hospitals, they have set up the molecular laboratory tests already. So what we want really is identification of cases by doing the test and isolation and management. So there are a lot of temporary treatment and monitoring facilities already na pwedeng dalhin yung mga pasyente, or alternatively, pwede rin naman po sa bahay if our house will allow for self-isolation. Okay. Ibig sabihin, meron kang sariling kwarto, meron kang sariling CR, tapos medyo maganda yung ventilation mo, and wala kang mga high-risk individuals na makakasama sa bahay. Oo. Otherwise, oo. So halimbawa, kung 10 kayo sa bahay, tapos nandun ang lolo't lola, baka it's not wise for you to self-isolate at home. You have to really consider transferring to a temporary treatment and monitoring facility. Marami na yan. Diba? Whether it's from the national level or from the local government, marami na po. Marami na yan. So, that's how you choose kung magsi-self-isolate ka sa bahay or you transfer to those types of facilities. Alternatively, pwede naman po sa ospital. But kung mild symptoms, sana po wag tayong makipag-agawan ng place, ng room sa ospital. Kasi baka nawawalan po ng kwarto yung mga pasyente na kailangan talagang ma-admit sa hospitals. Oo. So hindi po siya, it's not one against the rest, di ba? Kailangan there's some form of social responsibility also that you try to think about others. So, I know nakakatakot talaga yun kasi hindi mo alam kung ano mangyayari sa'yo. But you have to monitor yourself. For parents, you monitor yourselves. Diba? For the next 14 days, tignan mo kung mag-develop ba yung shortness of breath, kung mabilis ka bang hingalin, kung tuloy-tuloy ba yung pagtaas ng lagnat mo. Sometimes ako, pag nung natotoxic ako dati, nung March or April, I always use my phone. Ano ba tong phone ko? Basta meron kasi ano yung phone ko yung pang-measure ng ng oxygen saturation.
Oh.
Oo, yung health na application. So, chinecheck ko po yung oxygen saturation ko.
Yeah.
Pwede pala.
So, ganda na sinabi ni Doc Des, monitor, and then you minimize the risk per person, per family, per household. You have to check if there's someone symptomatic and the person at risk, and then you minimize the risk. If you have to get out, seek treatment facilities or monitor facilities better. And then, ako, suggest ko lang make a call. Make a call to a friend, to someone who's knowledgeable, what to do, access. I mean, telemedicine is out there, so you can do a lot of things on your own, and then recognize, resolve, and then refer as needed. You know.
So kami, Doc, sa'yo kami, ha?
Ayan tayo.
Doc Didoy.
Ako pa ba? Ngayon, nandiyan na si Doc Des. Kire-refer ko din kay Doc Des yan. Doc! Gagawin ko dito.
Doc Des, ready na po ba kayo? Malaki po yung pamilya namin.
Yes. Doc Des, Doc Didoy, before we move forward sa positive patient, siguro let's clarify, ano po bang difference ng rapid test, antigen swab test, at yung PCR swab test?
Kung paano siya gamitin din, Doc Des. When do we do it? Kasi marami tayong mga feasters who are also want to know about it. Pero meron din mga feasters nag-report na, Doc, yung rapid testing namin monthly sa office namin, tama ba to? Do we need to get a swab test? Yan. Gandang tanong yan, Doc Des.
Alright. So, we are talking about tatlong test available here in the Philippines. Unahin po natin yung PCR. Yun yung pinakasikat, di ba? Sa ngayon po, this is considered the reference, parang sort of the gold standard for the diagnosis of COVID-19. So the way we do the RT-PCR, meron pong parang cotton swab, di ba, na medyo mahaba. Tapos mas maliit siya, pinapasok sa ilong. Yan, tapos pinapasok dun sa bibig, kukuha ng sample, tapos papadala sa mga molecular laboratory test. Titignan kung merong nucleic acid ng SARS coronavirus 2. So kapag nag-positive yon, ibig sabihin you're positive, you're infected with COVID-19. So, medyo mahal siya. It takes a while. Dati, di ba, there was a time that it will take 3 to 5 days because of the number of specimens being sent to the molecular laboratory labs. Pero ngayon, medyo mabilis na po yung turnaround time niyan, di ba? In 1 or 2 days, lumalabas na yan. It's a bit expensive. Maybe the test is around 4,000 to 7,000. It depends on where you would do it. Okay? It's a very sensitive test. Okay? Hindi ganun kataas yung false positive and false negative result. Kaya nga, it's considered the reference standard.
Okay.
Next, meron tayong tinatawag na rapid antibody test. Pag sinabi nating antibody test, hindi yung portions ng virus yung dinedetect. Ang dinedetect po ng machine is our antibodies. Remember, kapag na-expose ang isang tao sa isang virus or kahit sa bacteria, yung katawan natin ay nagde-develop ng antibodies para labanan yung bacteria or yung virus na yon. Ano po yung problema sa mga antibodies? Diba? Hindi naman agad nakakapag-produce ang katawan ng antibodies. It takes 7 to 14 days at least para makapag-produce ng antibodies ang katawan, kaya hindi agad na-detect yan ng rapid antibody test. So, halimbawa, ikaw ay nagkaroon ng sakit within the first 7 days pa lang, tapos nag-rapid test ka, tapos nag-negative, hindi ibig sabihin negative ka agad. Oo, kasi maaaring hindi pa ganun kataas yung antibody test. Oo. Iba-iba. So, iba-iba yung performance ng mga rapid antibody test. But, in general, yung mga rapid antibody test ay hindi ganun kaganda yung sensitivity. Hindi ganun kaganda yung pag-pick up nila sa mga pasyente na mayroong COVID-19. So, medyo mataas yung false negative. Ano yung problema kapag mataas yung false negative? Ibig sabihin, kapag nag-negative ka, nagkakaroon ka kasi ng false sense of security na negative ka talaga when in fact, baka positive ka pala.
Correct.
Oo, so, ang tendency niyan, nagkakalat ka, tapos you let your guards down, lumalabas ka into the community, announcing na, yes, post ako sa Facebook, I'm negative sa rapid antibody test. Pero, hindi naman pala totoong negative. Diba? Oo. So, that's our concern with our rapid antibody test. Merong role ang rapid antibody test. For example, gusto mong malaman kung ang pasyente ay nagsisimula ng mag-recover at nagde-develop na siya ng antibodies. You check for the rapid antibody test, tapos positive na yung IgG. Then, mukhang okay na si patient, recovered na siya, di ba? Oo. And in the future, kapag nakadevelop pa tayo ng mga magagandang rapid antibody test, definitely it will have its role as far as the management. But for now, we're still looking for a better rapid antibody test. Okay, Doc? Oo. Next, yung rapid antigen test. So, yung rapid antigen test, ang specimen po na kinukuha dyan ay ganun din, swab din po. Tapos, para lang siyang meron ding rapid test, meron ka ding kit, tapos malalaman mo kung positive or negative. And ang dinedetect po niyan is also portions of the virus. It's very similar to the RT-PCR. It's cheaper, it's faster. It performs better than the rapid antibody test, but it's not as good as your RT-PCR. So, again, there is a role for our rapid antigen test. We want better rapid antigen tests compared to what we have right now. But the rapid antigen that we have right now, we can use that for patients na, alam mo yon, mukhang COVID-19 talaga. Tapos pag nag-positive siya, malamang COVID-19 talaga siya. It can be, or it should be verified with an RT-PCR, pero at least nalaman mo ng maaga na meron palang COVID-19 yung pasyente. Kasi mas mabilis yung turnaround time ng rapid antigen test.
And cheaper too, Doc, para for communities, mas madaling gamit.
Correct. Thank you, Doc, kasi parang ang daming ang mga tests, tapos parang hindi din naiintindihan namin kami sa mga community na hindi doctors and nurses kung saan ba dapat gamitin itong mga ito.
So, let me just take this opportunity if somebody out there who is part of the human resource division of their companies, we can stop probably, or we can refrain from using the rapid antibody test as a test to clear our patients to go back to work, especially for recovered patients, kasi po maraming napapadala sa clinic na nangingi lang ng clearance kasi nga hindi nawawala yung kanilang IgM at IgG, and the companies do the rapid test every 2 weeks, diba? When in fact, we really want the antibodies to persist. Gusto nga natin nandun yung IgM tsaka IgG antibodies kasi yun yung lumalaban sa virus. It's just sometimes nagdadagdag kasi ng layer for the people. It costs them more absence from work, yung pamasahe nila para pumunta sa mga doktor. Medyo sayang kasi yung resources, and we can use so we can use those resources sa iba pang mga bagay.
Well said. Well said.
Right now, and you're a leader in your company or organization, the gold standard pa rin is the RT-PCR as per Doc Des.
So there are companies who will do yung swabbing, yung RT-PCR every 2 weeks. That's okay. It's a bit costly, mahal talaga yan. It's uncomfortable for the patients. It can be done, but remember that yung RT-PCR kasi, it's a test for your status of infection at that particular time. Diba? Maaaring kinuhaan ka, sinwab ka that time, you are negative. Pero pag uwi mo ng bahay after the swab, ay meron kang nakatabi sa jeep na ubo ng ubo at meron palang COVID-19, hindi na magpa-positive yung RT-PCR na kinuha sa'yo a few hours before. Diba? The RT-PCR is only as good as your last exposure.
Yeah, point of time testing. Correct.
So anong implication yan? Ang hirap talagang i-diagnose, lalo na yung mga pre-symptomatic or yung mga asymptomatic na infections. And the way we address that is we put the precautions in place. Okay? So babalik tayo dun sa basic na 4 na paulit-ulit namin sinasabi ni Doc Didoy, at saka we optimize the workplace and the transportation and the malls para maiwasan, ma-minimize yung risk of getting COVID-19.
Thank you, Doc Des. And sa mga professionals na nanonood, especially if you have influence in your companies, please help stop spreading the virus and also make use of the proper testing tools na
Correct,
meron tayo
correct.
ngayon.
I think that's important. Oo, make use of the proper testing tools. Hindi porket merong test na available, dapat gamitin na siya kaliwat kanan. Oo. Oo.
Doc Des and Doc Didoy, may nagtanong si Ellen Pearl Jose. Hi Doc, what if nag-positive na po yung IgG antibody but still positive sa RT-PCR?
Habang diskusyon yan. Sige, Doc.
Medyo masalimuot po na discussion dyan. Marami po kaming
Okay.
pasyente. Marami po kaming pasyente ni Doc Didoy na recovered na, wala nang nararamdaman. Pero pag inulit mo yung swab after 2 weeks, after 4 weeks, sometimes after 3 months from the initial positive pa rin sila. But there are studies already that will tell us na after 10 days from the initial infection, kahit na nagpa-positive pa po yung RT-PCR, nung sinubukan nilang patubuin yung virus, hindi na siya tumutubo. Ibig sabihin, patay na yung virus beyond 10 days. Oo. So that is the reason kung bakit beyond 10 days, yung mga pasyente na wala na pong simptomas, hindi na inuubo, hindi na nilalagnat, they are considered recovered already.
Okay.
And when you label a person as recovered, ibig sabihin hindi na siya nakakahawa. And you can already stop the isolation. So dito po sa Philippines, we want to be more careful. So instead of just 10 days, we made it 14 days.
14.
Oo. 14 days para sa mga mild tsaka moderate. Tapos kapag yung mga pasyente na nagkaroon ng malala, severe at critical disease, we extend the isolation to 21 days. Para po sigurado lang tayo.
Correct. Alam nyo, I wanna add to what Dr. Des said. These recommendations, inaral talaga yan, guys. Inaral yan, hindi naman eksperimentuhan, inaral, inobserve by experts like Dr. Des. So minsan, parang it doesn't give you peace of mind. But that's what the professionals are here for. They are God's gifts to us to give us peace of mind, to help us do the right kind of behavior. So, yun, 10 days to 14 days, okay na yan. And then, it's still checked with the clinical symptoms. Kaya ang ganda may call for help ka dapat. May access ka to healthcare. Kasi, minsan, you cannot Google, you cannot do Dr. Google and just decide for yourself, I'm COVID-free. May symptoms ka pa, meron kang underlying condition. So, dito tayo magpapatunay na kailangan natin magtulungan dito in all aspects of community.
So true.
In and out of the hospital.
Partner, bago tayo mag-proceed sa next question, basahin ko lang yung comment
Sabihin pa
ni...
yata.
Ano po?
Yung sasabihin pa yata si Doc Des. Sorry na
Ay,
po.
sorry po, Dr.
Wala, okay na po ako. Okay lang po.
Okay.
Basahin ko lang po yung comment ni Cel Basilio Ortega. Ang galing mag-explain ni Doc. May thumbs up.
Agree.
Yeah, whatever
Agree.
you.
We're so blessed with Doc Des. Ang linaw, ang klaro na pagkaka-explain.
Parang simple
Partner,
lang, ano? Saya.
Correct. Opo, talagang sobrang dami natin natutunan, no? Especially yung mga differences ng lahat ng mga narinig natin, info overload. Alam natin ngayon saan siya gagamitin, kailan dapat, yun. And Brother Zach, ito rin, question ko rin to, pero tanong din siya ni Father-in-law, ikaw na magtanong.
Ayan po. Doc Des, any update po sa COVID-19 vaccine?
Ayan.
Makikibalita po kami.
So sa ngayon po, wala pa talagang approved, FDA approved na COVID-19 vaccine, but there are a lot of vaccine candidates already. So yung mga vaccine candidates natin, they are at different points in vaccine development. Merong nasa phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, wala pang nasa phase 4. Pero meron na pong mga nasa phase 3. Ibig sabihin, sooner or later, hopefully, if these vaccine candidates will be found to be effective and safe, malapit na po yan. Dito sa Pilipinas, meron na pong mga phase 3 candidate trials that have started, and we will be participating, the Philippines will be participating in the WHO Vaccine Solidarity Trial. We will try to recruit around 2,000 patients and see if there are vaccine candidates na epektibo. The target for that study to commence is hopefully by November. The expert would project na the earliest that we can have a vaccine would be here in the Philippines, siguro second quarter of 2020. So that's something to look forward to.
Okay.
Oo nga, something to look, mukhang ang dami talaga nag-look forward doon, partner, no, sa
Oo,
vaccine.
tama, partner. Na-mention nyo, there are maraming iba't ibang types of vaccines na ginagawa ngayon. In case na ma-approve na yung mga vaccines na yon, meron po bang choice si individual citizen kung ano yung ipapa-vaccine niya sa sarili niya in case na available na yung mga vaccine na yon?
Of course, definitely po. So as early as now, meron na pong mga nilalatag na plano on vaccine dissemination should the vaccine against COVID-19 will be made available here in the Philippines. Kasi we all know the eagerness of a lot of people to receive the vaccine. So there has to be some planning already. Otherwise, there might be chaos, diba?
Meron po bang protocol na uunahin yung mga senior citizens and then
Yung mga
or a
high
certain
risk.
brackets of demographic?
I don't have the exact details yet, but they are working on that.
Okay. So we
I'm
are
sure
hopeful.
that limited resources will be given to those who may need it more and need it most first. And then the experts like Dr. Des and his team and everybody in the public health sector are really working very hard. If you could just imagine how the burden is on their shoulders to make definite recommendations. At hindi lang naman yung pag-aaral at paggawa ng recommendation. The hardest part is yung pagpasunod ng mga tao. So habang nag-aabang, dapat ready tayo mag-accept, mag-embrace, magtiwala sa mga recommendations ng ating experts. And I think that's our big role as well. Kahit may vaccine, face masks still continues, hand washing still continues, physical distancing can still continue. So babalik tayo sa mga basics that we've been talking about. And as a human being, a good human being, really take care of yourself. Don't compromise yourself and make you susceptible to any kind of disease, not just COVID-19. Sa totoo lang, Dr. Des, if you can confirm it, mas mataas pa rin ang mga namamatay sa non-communicable disease. Marami pa rin namamatay. It's not because of COVID-19, but it's because of other diseases na hindi natin napapansin, lifestyle diseases. So that really matters. As a whole, you gotta think of it as a whole. So infectious disease, pandemic is one, but in the big spectrum of all diseases, you can protect yourself and take care of yourself more. Dr. Des, baka you can add to that.
No, that's actually correct, di ba? Hindi naman yan dichotomous na ngayon, puro COVID-19 lang tayo at papabayaan natin ang tuberculosis, papabayaan natin ang high blood at stroke. Oo. While at some point in time, everybody was focused on COVID-19 and that's expected. But I know right now, everybody is doing its best to address all of these concerns already. Oo. And I know also for a fact that the Department of Health is doing its best to do the vaccine trials right this time. Nagkaroon talaga tayo ng problems in the past about vaccinations, di ba? Let's not talk about that anymore. But what I know is it's doing its best para hindi na maulit yung mga controversies in the past.
Sabi nga ni Doc Didoy kanina, yung trust talaga. Kailangan maibigay yung
we
trust.
can pray for together as well as a community. Tamang enlightenment, tamang decision making, and of course, tamang behavior ng the whole population.
Yes. Partner, I
Hirit lang
think,
tayo ng tanong, partner.
mhm.
Bago tayo mag-wrap up, hirit lang ng tanong si Brother Daryl Arceta. Any tips po?
Yan.
Ano problema to ng maraming anak? Any tips for the elderly, especially those who are immunocompromised already? At yun nga, maraming mga kaibigan ako na may mga parents na senior citizen na namumblema, magpalaki ngayon ng mga magulang natin.
partner.
So,
Oo.
medyo hindi sumusunod.
Totoo
Father
yan,
Bob also
Doc Des,
asked
ha?
this earlier.
Bago ka sumagot, Doc Des, totoo yan. Totoo na may kilala akong pasyente, nag-high blood talaga siya. Sabi ko, ano bang cause ng stress mo? Sabi niya, yung nanay ko, ang kulit, labas ng labas. Ganyan. Siya ang nasistress at siya, sabi niya, ako unang mamatay o magkakasakit dahil sa kanya. Dahil takot siya para sa nanay niya. It really happened, so this is a very good
Oo.
question.
Mm-mm.
Ako rin.
How to
Okay, Doc.
sa my parents.
Ang hirap talaga i-balance, Doc, eh.
Correct.
Oo. You also have to understand where they're coming from kasi 7 months, 8 months na silang hindi lumalabas ng bahay. Okay lang sana if, alam mo yon, they are used to that, but there are some senior citizens na talagang, alam mo yon, mahilig talagang lumabas.
Mm-mm.
Oo. And it's affecting also what? Their mental health
And well-being.
and well-being. Oo. So, I guess they have to understand the risk of what they're about to do if they want to go out. And if they do decide sorry, I got disconnected.
Sige lang, Doc.
And if they do decide that they want to go out, then always practice the infection prevention and control measures. Much as we want na magstay lang sila sa bahay, we can only do so much. We can explain to the best we can, but ultimately it depends upon them.
Correct.
But siguro let's also be vigilant in case they decide to go out. First, symptoms, nakakailangan mag-consult agad tayo.
I agree, Doc. I think it's also respecting their autonomy and giving them their responsibility for their body. Kasi ang mga seniors, pag walang ginagawa, nakaka-stress yan sa kanila. You know, generativity versus starvation, sabi ni Eric Erickson. They have to be productive. They have to do something. Kailangan nilang maging active part of society. So, tama po yun eh. And when families ask me actually, Doc, pwede ba kami mag-reunion? Pwede ba mag-Christmas party yung family namin? Of course, large, big gatherings like thousands of people in the feast is not yet in our timeline. It's not yet in our near future. Pero pag small gatherings, reunions, and ako, for example, someone asked me, Doc, I have a son coming from Germany, flying home. Wag na lang, baka mahawa siya. There's evidence already na nangakuha sila sa plane. Alam mo, sabi ko, why is your son going home? Well, it's my birthday. And this person just lost her husband a few months back. Alam mo, sabi ko talaga sa kanya, well, I'm gonna speak to you as a son first and then a doctor. Sabi ko, I have to see you. I have to go home. I have to hug you in such a way that I just want to love you in that way. And then as a doctor, I said, just protect yourselves. Just make sure that you guys are healthier than ever before. Get good sleep, the basics, sleep, good food, hydration, stay active, minimize your stress, take supplements as needed. And then this is what I say to families. And I hope you can say this to yourselves too. Walang sisihan, walang turuan, walang pilitan. And if something happens,
Correct.
and then prepare it early on, recognize it early on, and then madali naman siyang gawa ng paraan din actually, pag ma-recognize ng maaga.
Balance din talaga.
Kailangan ko ng clearance kay Dr. Des.
There are there are really bitter pills to swallow sa panahon ng pandemic. Oo. And sometimes our values on the things that we hold important. Diba? If we feel that a reunion is more important than anything else, then go ahead. But you should always remember there will be that risk and kailangang i-maximize natin yung strategies on how we can minimize the risk.
Thank
Galing.
you,
Well
Des.
balanced.
Mm.
Galing. Very good. Thanks for the
Related
reminder, Dr.
to, yeah, siguro ako partner, I just read this earlier on our session from Father Bob related to this topic about the seniors. What is the recovery rate of folks around 70 years old? Or in general, Doc Des, what is the recovery rate when you have COVID-19?
Wait the general mortality rate, case fatality rate for COVID-19 is around 2% here in the Philippines. But if I could just share my screen, of
Great.
course, the risk will really increase with age. Oo. So
Mm.
this is, can you see my screen po?
Uh,
So
Yeah.
yes,
it
Doc.
may be very small, pero this picture from the US CDC will tell us that the risk of dying increases with age.
Mm.
So for 3 to 39 years of age, compared to your risk sa mga pasyente na 18 to 21 years, the risk is 4 times higher. Kapag jump ka dun sa next decade, it's 10 times higher yung risk of death. Ha? Kapag
Mhm.
tumalon ka dun sa 75 to 84 years na age group, the risk is 220 times higher. Oo. So, these are some of the figures na kailangan siguro nating i-consider. Oo.
Mm-mm.
Na kailangan siguro nating ipakita sa ating mga elderly loved ones
Mm-mm.
para malaman din nila kung ano yung risk pinapasok nila.
They know the risk. As much as possible, minimize the risk. And then decide. Make a decision.
Yeah. Informed decision.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Ganda,
Thank you
Doc.
so much. Mm-mm.
Sobrang
Grabe.
ganda. Galing. Galing nyo, Doc Didoy and Doc Des. Partner, meron ka pa bang mga gustong itanong sa ating mga doctors?
Siguro to wrap up our session or to give us hope, what is the outlook of this pandemic in our country or in the world? How will it what will it look like in the next few months, next year?
Sige, Doc.
ang hirap, again, I'm not a public health specialist. But, you know, sabi nga nila, when you are at your lowest, there's nowhere to go but up.
Woo!
Diba? So,
Great.
ako personally, I just want to hope that tomorrow will be better than today. Oo. And we can only expect that if we do our part today. Diba? If we don't comply with what is recommended, we don't expect any change tomorrow.
Ayun.
Yun lang po.
Thank you so much, Doc Des.
How
Well
about you,
said.
Doc Didoy? Oo nga po.
Ang ganda masyado na sinabi ni Doc Des. Nag-isip tuloy ako ulit ng sabihin. Ang galing talaga. I know, Dr. Des coming from, being a specialist, saying it like that. Nakakatuwa na we have doctors thinking about that kind of way. Balancing si Doc Des eh. Parang, oo nga naman. Tama nga naman. That really makes sense. And ako if I will close, I just really want to say that, like Dr. Des said, there are bitter pills to swallow, but sometimes bitter pills make us better. And that's something we want to be responsible for individually, and then as a family, and then as a community, and then as a part of the human race. And as I said early on when we started, the pandemic is not just a physical one, it's a psychological one. We are being awakened that the threats are real, but not everything is canceled. Love is not canceled. Faith is not canceled. Hope is not canceled. And I really believe patience, perseverance, persistence is way up there. Ngayon, napaka health conscious na ng mga tao than ever before. And people will become more protective of themselves and their families. And I think for the generations to come, this will last. And this will change our culture, our mindset, and our approach to life itself. We know how precious life is. We know how finite it is. And, bakit tayo nagkaroon ng ganitong session? Because for the people who passed away, Tita Carol, I know her personally. She lived a beautiful life. She gave it all. At she may have passed away in heaven, but we believe that she's alive in us. We carry on. We carry her memories with us, our memories with her. We carry our lessons from her life. And I think that's how we will live moving forward, in memory and in honor of those who have passed, and our future still has hope. Yun lang po.
Very well said.
Amen.
Grabe, galing. Very well said.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Doc Des and Doc Didoy. And if I may add lang, partner, kasi nakita at nakausap ko si Doc Didoy a week ago. Talagang nag-struck sa akin yung sinabi niya na patience and resilience sa panahon to. Talagang nag-reflect talaga ako that night after namin nagkita with other friends for yun.
Wow.
Patience and resilience talaga na. Oo nga, kailangan nating mag-move forward dun sa thinking na hindi na talaga mababalik yung the way it used to be 100%. So, yun. Thank you so much, Doc Des and Doc Didoy.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat po, Doc Des.
Bago nyo tapusin, may tanong ako kay Doc Des. Doc Des, pwede
Ayan.
kitang personalin?
Depende po.
Hindi, Doc Des, ang tanong ko lang, I'm sure, para naman makuha namin yung perspective mo. As an infectious disease specialist, you're out there taking care of COVID-19 patients and our families. If there's gonna be a wish from you na sana malaman ng lahat ng tao to, sana mag-grant yung wish mo na yon, what would you ask of the general population or at least sa audience?
Ayan.
Ang hirap naman ng tanong. Ano po kasi, unprecedented kasi talaga yung COVID-19 eh. Parang lahat naman tayo bago dito. Lahat tayo nag-a-adjust, lahat tayo na-apektuhan. So probably my wish is just for everyone to be a little bit more understanding ngayong panahon na to. A little bit more compassionate, wag may initin ng ulo. A little bit better with our words. Hindi kung ano-ano yung pinagsasabi natin para mang-bash. We have to face this pandemic with grace.
Wonderful.
Kasi otherwise, hopefully it will bring out the best in all of us eh. Para hindi yung bad yung ma-uncover or ma-unearth. Yeah, yun lang po.
Woohoo! Well said.
Galing.
Once
Galing.
again, thank you so much.
Isama
Doc
na
Des,
natin yun,
Doc
partners, isama na natin yun sa mga hindi cancel, sa mga sinabi ni Doc Didoy, yung mga sinabi ni Doc Des, hindi cancel yung pagiging understanding, hindi cancel yung pagiging compassionate, diba?
Yes.
Thank you so
Din.
much, grabe.
Lalim nun, so good. Na-bless ako. Thank you, Doc Des.
Na-bless
Alright.
na bless din po kami sa inyong dalawa, Doc Des and Doc Didoy. Maraming salamat po.
Please press heart naman sa comment section para kay Doc Des and Doc Didoy. We are praying for you, mga frontliners natin. Last liners nga, sabi ni Doc. Maraming salamat po sa trabaho ninyo.
Thank you for serving. And may God bless the work of your hands. Maraming pong salamat again, Dr. Des Roman and Dr. Didoy Lobaton.
Ayan.
Take care, guys. Thank you, dear Peace family. Doc Des, thank you. I honor you and your work.
Thank you po.
Bye-bye po.
Thank you very much po. Grabe, napaka-informative.
Sobrang malaman ang session natin tonight. At grabe, talagang much needed ito for me.
Correct. What a show. And I'm sure marami ring na-blessed. Ang daming mga information, mga na-settle na mga tanong sa mga minds ng mga tao, ng mga nanonood sa atin for tonight. Pero bago natin tapusin ang ating show for this night, meron tayong mga announcements.
Ayan po. Of course, on Monday, meron tayong Personalan Mondays together with
Next
the Brother
Monday
Paul.
yan.
So, abangan po ang mga palaro at mga prize ng ating Personalan Mondays.
And syempre, meron pa bukod sa every Monday na mga shows natin, meron din tayong daily shows from Monday to Friday. Ayan, Tuesday, Better Together. Wednesday, Youth Home Day area. Thursday, Biblia Konia with Father Bob and Father Michael. And Friday, TGIF Tonight, God is First.
Yes. At of course, we invite you to our Feast at Home. Ayan po ang schedules. You may take a look at our screen. Meron po tayong every Sunday, 8, 10:30, 1:30, and 4. Meron din tayong Saturdays and Fridays. And of course, every Wednesday, meron ding youth session. So if you are watching this and you have no idea what the feast is a Catholic community and you are welcome here. Kapag di mo kailangang pagdaanan ng pandemic mag-isa, you can join us as we watch the Mass and the worship and the talks.
Yes, at ang daming nahihirapan na mag-mass physically. So, meron po tayong online mass at maraming mga schedule. Hi, Sawi!
Yan. Sige, partner, siguro before we close, baka you want to share what's your biggest takeaway? And yung mga viewers natin, you can also comment what's your biggest takeaway for tonight's COVID-19 awareness session?
Ako, partner, yung love talaga. That love is not canceled. So, paano ba yung love na yon? Yung doing all the basic things na sinasabi ni Doc Didoy and Doc Des about hand washing, physical distancing, face mask, facial, that's love.
Yeah.
Kasi you want to love your family, you want to love your brother and your sister, yung mga nakakasalumuha mo, your friends, your colleague. And the only way to do that is to observe yung hindi mo sila mauwian ng virus or anything. So that's love. That love is not canceled, and marami tayong pwedeng magawa because if only we will be reminded that we are doing this because we want to love our family and our friends and yung community at para makapag-move forward na tayo agad at makarecover.
Amen.
How about you, brother?
Ako, partner, siguro 3 things. Number 1, ang ganda kasi nung sinabi kanina, trust your doctors. Sila ang experts at magtiwala tayo sa kanila. Pangalawa, we have a role. Our health is our personal responsibility, and the pandemic, make it your personal responsibility. And pangatlo, ang ganda nung sabi ni Doc Des kanina, stop spreading the negativity, but instead, spread the love, and we need a lot of grace. Kaya magtulungan tayo, wag na tayo mangbash at spread ng negativity, lalo na sa mga, pag may news, wag ka na mag-comment ng negative. Just
Face
spread
this
positivity.
pandemic with grace, diba? Sabi ni
Oo.
ni Doc Des. Sabi nga ni Sis May, ano daw, pwede na rin maging preacher. Doctor
Yeah.
preacher na rin
Brother
si Doc Des. Thank you so much. Partner, maraming salamat.
Thank you.
At thank you sa lahat po ng nag-tune in tonight with Personalan Mondays. Again, my name is Shelly.
And I am Zach. God bless and ingat.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Stay safe and stay healthy.